Welcome, everybody to Market Minds. No, I'm not Scott Bauer. I am Charles Moon. I am sitting in for the great Scott Bauer. Today, I figured this is a topic that people would be interested in. NVIDIA, DeepSeek. We are talking about the potential ramifications. There's going to be this trickle down effect that could take place in NVIDIA. And certainly, this ramification or the reverberations from what has happened over the weekend carry forth. Now, great sign today. NVIDIA powered through that 200-day moving average. They faced a lot of suppression up until about an hour ago, and then they went on the straight vertical rally here. And that's a great sign, but not all of the stocks are participating, and that's part of the trickle down effect. So, if we take a look here, we got this beautiful PowerPoint that's set up here. Guys and gals, what is causing NVIDIA um, to really work down? I mean, yesterday they set a record for the biggest 1 day loss in market cap, $589.95 billion lost in market cap. Now they're getting a lot of it back today, but still, what a statistic. Fun fact, I've already said this in the rooms, but 8 out of the 10 largest historical 1 day market cap losses belong to NVIDIA. The other two stocks were Meta and Amazon. So, what's the trickle down effect here? Well, certainly the news. I don't know if you've been aware of the news. DeepSeek came out. There were talks that they're able to create their AI bot or AI program with $5 million. I really doubt that, first and foremost. But the trickle down effect here is that DeepSeek and their AI program is 100% legitimate. Their LLM is actually eye opening. Now, think about all the smart people that are working on deep tech, deep data dissemination, LLM creation, anything that has to do with AI. And somehow everybody has been kind of wormholed into the idea that it takes massive power and massive capital to be able to create and power these LLM programs. And what people were doing all weekend was a lot of comparison between DeepSeek and ChatGPT. And DeepSeek is highly efficient. And more importantly, the way that they draw data and utilize their LLM is incredibly smart and efficient. So they're actually showcasing, right, the ability of using the same type of technology in a more efficient and a different way. Now, that being said, there's a lot of statistics that are coming out that is kind of combating what is being speculated in relation. But if it does become far more efficient and that they have discovered a new approach or a different approach, a more efficient approach, the concerns are lying with Nvidia and future sales. Remember, their future sales, especially regarding their new GPU that's going to be coming out, it's called Blackwell. Um, it could have a devastating effect because Nvidia future guidance is based on booking orders or future orders for their products. And of course, all of that is tied directly to the consumption and demand and development of AI and large language models. And so the trickle down effect is not just NVIDIA, but also other component makers that would be required. So companies like AVGO and MRVL, um, SMCI is another one. And then we look at another sector which has nothing to do with semiconductors, but has been married to the hip lately to AI and AI development, and that's the um, alternative power or nuclear sector. Names like CEG and VST and OKLO and NNE have been severely impacted. And so the ramifications here is that right now, NVIDIA is trading at a valuation of the future orders. And if those future orders start to shrink, right? Microsoft's like, oh, well, we now see that we could actually increase our development and not have to spend as much capital or need as much power to be able to sufficiently um, keep up with the AI development, right? And that's really important for Microsoft here. That trickle down effect, it starts with NVIDIA, and then all of a sudden it's like 20, 30, 40 companies that really, really get severely impacted. And when we pull up, and I'm just going to show it really quickly, when we pull up companies like VST, for example, let me pull this up. Come on, pull it up here. There you go. Thank you. Well, for one, obviously Nancy Pelosi is affected, but look at the haircut that VST has taken just in the last 48 hours. They had closed up at this price level near $190, $191 to be exact. They tickled on that 130 price range yesterday. Now, what's really important is that they actually held that key support level, which is really intriguing. That's why I had taken a shot, and I believe the GOAT, Scott Bauer, also wanted to get in or has gotten in. But if we look back at the overall trajectory of VST here, oh, that's the Qs. Ho ho ho! Hello, Qs. Over the just the last 6 months leading into the new calendar year, I mean, this is a stock that nearly tripled up in price, and that's dramatic. We're not talking about a stock that went from $7 to $21. We're talking about stock that was, in the 60s and 70s, trading nearly $200 in less than 6 months. And obviously that impact had an extreme negative. You could see that it's rolled back off, really crazy. This is just a outrageous type of gap on this news. And with the SSS members, we saw it live. We saw, one of the first things I said is the Nasdaq's down 250, and I wonder if this has to do with the deep seek news. And then all of a sudden, 20, 30 minutes later, Nvidia started trading, and Nvidia was down $7 immediately. They gapped down $7, so you could see what kind of a negative impact it had. Nvidia dropped eventually around $24 yesterday, but they're coming back very, very nicely here in the very near term. So this trickle down effect, the reverberations, I'm not sure this is done just yet, folks, because I'm going to pull back the Nvidia chart once again. There's going to be multiple levels for short sellers to look to get back into Nvidia for that potential short. And I know it sounds crazy, right? That Nvidia may be a great short play. Well, we'll know that there's going to be some really positive signs on a road to recovery. The first is getting above the highs of yesterday, which is known as that gap bar high. And that's that line of defense that sellers will usually draw into the sand to say, hey, listen, we can't let you get past this level, because if it does, then everybody's thinking you're going to go and fill the gap. And that means we have to close out our position. So that's number one. Number two is, of course, recovery above all of these moving averages, which we just totally dropped below, right? And again, how alarming was this? NVIDIA in almost 3 years haven't even sniffed at the 200-day moving average. We ended up closing below that threshold yesterday. So a really good recovery, but we're not out of danger, or at least NVIDIA investors are not out of danger just yet. The key level to watch in the short term is going to be yesterday's highs. That, I don't know why I'm lagging here, is at 128.40. And then it's got to get through that range of around 133 half to right around 139. And then we could talk about the gap fill, which isn't shortly after. So we're going to have to see. And then we have to understand that these other stocks, such as AVGO and VST, et cetera, they're married to the hip to NVIDIA, at least for the near term, whether it's 1 week or 5 weeks, I don't know. but they're going to go as Nvidia goes. And if Nvidia catches a bid, you could be sure that a lot of these stocks, while they may not recover just the same, could be moving up sympathetically. So the two names that I am looking at very closely in conjunction with Nvidia is going to be AVGO and TSM. These are the two stocks that are going to be really tied to the hip to Nvidia's rally or pullback. And then, of course, we feel the reverberations in other sectors, those especially tied to AI. But what's really been standing out here is after this pullback, the cloud names, the cybersecurity names, they've been going nuts. Now, I'm going to just show you really quickly. I believe Hack, HACK, is the cybersecurity ETF. Look at their performance today, folks. They are up 2%. Why is that a standout? Well, let's see. I don't know why I'm so laggy. Maybe it's because of the StreamYard. I don't like this. There you go. Man, this latency is crazy. All right, CrowdStrike, big breakout today. If I could get the chart to flip, there's a massive breakout in CrowdStrike. They broke through that, I don't know, 390-ish price. They hit 407. I said they have a chance at making a run towards 420 today. That is absolutely possible. Palo Alto making a run for their all-time highs. But let's take a look at another company known as Cloudflare, ticker symbol NET. Now NET, and not this is a shame. I can't even pull up my charts. Michael, this platform, StreamYard, it's very taxing. NET is also in a massive breakout. They're going to try and make a significant move here. They got above 132 half. They're now in a profit pocket zone all the way up to around $170. And if you don't think that they can make that move, ladies and gentlemen, let me in you on something. They broke out from 96. Their profit pocket was to 132. Well, guess what? We filled that gap zone and now we're beyond it. And when we get beyond it, guess what? We continue to try and rise. Once we get to one level of interest, we are on to the next one. So the trickle down effect in a negative way, NVIDIA could have a severe impact on renewable energy stocks such as nuclear plays, the obvious semiconductor sector, and the component makers in that respect. And then, of course, on the flip side, all of a sudden, we've seen this demand in cloud and cybersecurity stocks spike up. Names like GitLab, Amazon is breaking out at the highs here. Uh, we saw Snowflake making a huge move, DDOG blasting through their 50-day moving average. This is something you're going to want to keep an eye on. If NVIDIA moves lower, will these cloud stocks continue to bid up? And is there a point where these sectors that are fairly tied to each other going to move up together? I think a lot of that is going to have to do with the cues. So this now leads to what I feel is going to be the craziest week of this first quarter. That means from now until the end of March. And in fact, this week could be the craziest week of 2025. We've already seen the ramifications from yesterday. Huge drop. And in fact, NASDAQ futures at one point was down over 1,000 points before the open. All right. We finished down more than 600 points. Today, we're up 355 and still trying to rally. We could finish this day up 500 points in the NASDAQ. What's going to happen tomorrow? Folks, tomorrow is supposed to be the craziest of them all, right? We have the FOMC meeting, the first one of 2025. And then shortly after the close, we have these three little companies. You may have heard of them, Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft, reporting earnings after the close. You want to know what kind of impact they have? Well, we're talking about the top three, right? Well, not the top three, but three out of the top 10. In some markets, three out of the top seven market cap weightings either in the SPY or the Qs. In both, they are three of the top 10 for sure. So they could effectively, if they all both go up or all go down, can swing the markets anywhere from 2 to 4% by those names and those results from earnings. So we're now talking about swings, right, based on news with Nvidia. The rally back today, a huge gain by lots of stocks, especially in cloud. Then tomorrow we have the FOMC. Who knows what Jerome Powell's going to say, right? His first live press conference with the new administration, and it's not like they've ever been really truly buddy buddy. You know, if you see the history of Powell and Trump, you know that there could be some real fireworks coming in, and we don't know what the FOMC in terms of projection and outcomes going to be. And then of course we have the earnings report. Then we have Thursday, which is the jobless claims numbers, and then of course the number one market weighted market cap stock, Apple, reporting. And then we have Friday. And depending on what Jerome Powell and the gang says, well, Friday, if their focus is on inflation, the one key metric that they look at, the one key economic report, the PCE report, that's due out Friday morning. And then, of course, Friday is the last trading day of the month, which either the day of the last trading day or the day prior tends to be crazy. So hold on tight, folks. If you don't like roller coasters, this week is not the week to be trading, but this is the week that we could see huge breakouts, huge volatility, huge swings back and forth. I don't know what to think, but I know there's going to be opportunities presented, perhaps in both directions. Now, we're going to get to a little bit of a Q&A. Maybe I'll keep ranting. My voice is a little, my throat's a little sore because I've been screaming all morning about stocks making the rise. But folks, let's get the word of the day out. And this is appropriate. The word of the day is crazy. So do me a favor, folks. Spam it in the chat if you want your name on the wheel. Today's word of the day is crazy. As well, folks, as you are tuning in, if you look at your projection, there's this little thumbs up button. We would greatly appreciate it if you show us a little bit of love. If you've been watching these episodes, you take something from these episodes. We had the great Scott Bauer, always breaking things down. His episode yesterday was amazing. Give us a thumbs up, whether you're watching on Twitter or you're watching on other social media sites or you're watching on YouTube. It really does help us out. And again, folks, the word of the day is crazy. All right, let me see. Let me see. Hey, look at that. It says, don't forget to get that, smash that like button. Um, I'm going to go back. Let's see. DeepSeek used AI to optimize their search engine. Yeah. When we talk about efficiency, and this is what China does well. They don't come up with the ideas, they reverse engineer the ideas, and then they make it more efficient. They have been notorious about doing that. And that's essentially what they did. They figured out the inefficiencies of these large language models. And I mean, man, these engineers are so smart. They really thought outside the box. And it just turned out that they found gold in that respect. So, when we talk about DeepSeek, there is a lot of truth in terms of their efficiency and in terms of their accuracy levels isn't on par with ChatGPT. The data sourcing for ChatGPT is slightly better, but the discrepancy isn't that much. And when we're talking about billions and billions and billions, it really doesn't play that significant of a role. The difference is fairly minute. And that's really why people were kind of blown away about DeepSeek and where they discovered the inefficiencies and made things a little bit more efficient. Bobby says Trump can't fire me. He was damn right about that. We love Jerome Powell. Folks, if you don't love Jerome Powell, that means you don't like the markets to go up because historically the markets love when Jerome Powell speaks. So we'll have to wait and see. Look at all these people pop it off. Crazy. Keep it going, folks. Um, Word of the daytime. Yeah, we're there. Folks, how about we do a little rapid fire? I'm going to do my best to try and pull up my chart and get through them. We'll go through about three or four names, maybe four or five if you have interest. Let me know. We could talk about trade ideas. We could talk about FOMC. We could talk about earnings. But I can be honest with you, I have no idea what these stocks are going to do. I have some real big concerns. Like, you know, how's Meta going to guide when they're talking about, 60 to 65 billion dollars in additional expenditures for the new data center? Well, obviously that news is out, so it could be pretty much baked in. But if it's going to have a severe impact on their forward guidance, right? And maybe the impact is greater than expected after this news has been out. I mean, Meta's going to get crushed because they are so elevated because they have exploded. They recovered yesterday. What? They had a 38, $39 price range. They ripped it to new all-time highs. They're doing it again today. And so we're trading into all-time highs or at all-time highs going into a extremely important earnings report for Meta. So, you know, whenever stocks are trading at these thresholds, which is basically the peak, when we get to earnings date, it's really simple. It doesn't matter what the company is, it doesn't matter how beloved they are. These reports, this scenario, it has to work out perfectly for the bulls. And if there's any kind of issue or discrepancy, the immediate move by Wall Street is to go risk off. And so we're now having Meta to basically report pretty much perfect, right? What about the concerns for Tesla? Well, Tesla, nobody's buying into the stock going into earnings. In fact, people are taking profits. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean Tesla's going to go down, but there's been a dramatic drop overall in the last year in terms of demand, right? Delivery numbers have come in softer than expected. So, what is their guidance going to be? Are they going to talk about Optimus? More importantly, are they going to talk about robo taxis? And that's really where their growth cycle is going to come into play. How impacted are they going to be now that the EV credits are going to be taken away? That's a really important concept. And what the impact could be is an extremely negative reaction to the report as well. Now, when we talk about Microsoft, I feel like Microsoft is kind of that vanilla flavored earnings report. They're not going to make a big swing up or down. And, a lot of this with Microsoft as well is always going to be attributed to Azure. If you're not sure what Azure is, that's their cloud services. But I think the big focus on Wall Street in direct relation to Microsoft is going to be enterprise services and their consulting business. Is there an uptick in demand? Because Microsoft has obviously spent a lot of money already into AI, right? Um, the CEO just came out and said we're planning on investing 80 more billion dollars into the sector. And so if all of a sudden the enterprise services and demand isn't just where it needs to be or expected, that could be devastating in terms of stock price because now all of a sudden we got Microsoft spending tens of billions of dollars and they're not getting much return for it in the near term or possibly in the more longer term future. So, you know, when we say we're teed up for a crazy week, folks, just wait till tomorrow and leading into Thursday. This is going to be madness. So let's see. I saw Palo Alto. Absolutely love Palo Alto. I was banging the drum about this stock here earlier. Uh, Boys and girls, it's going to be hard for me to flip these charts. I'm going to do the best that I can. It might. I almost feel like I have to take it off screen to do it. So Palo Alto, right? And Microsoft is at resistance, by the way, at 447. Dude, there shouldn't be this latency. And it's pretty horrible that on a live stream this is happening. Palo Alto up here right now in that breakout zone. They're in a pullback. I really like the opportunity. Now, from a projectability standpoint, they have hit that second standard deviation on that linear regression chart. So they're in a pullback zone for an opportunity. The only thing I don't like is that it has wider risk here. But overall, they are set to close above the 50 SMA and the linear regression mean. And that's where they've had a lot of suppression over the last week. And in turn, if they're able to break free, well, there's not much to slow it down from racing up to 207. 207 just happens to be their all time highs after their split adjusted price. So that's something that we're seeing. This stock is in a beautiful V recovery. And as well, it's got the Pelosi juice. It's been reported that Nancy or Paul, whoever you want to attribute, has taken on that position along with VST, TEM, Google, and NVIDIA, of course. SMCI, well, I got to be honest with you. I tried to take a shot in SMCI. It didn't work out. I still feel it's a bit of a trash can of a company. And in fact, if you take a look, they're negative for the day. So they are still feeling the pain and the ramifications or the fallout from that trickle down effect. Uh, I would look at 2580 as support. If there's any weakness, it's pretty evident that there's this really nice gap to fill right around $21. That's where we want to see the bounce. There's been heavy suppression after they're utilizing those indicators as support. They became immediate resistance. You can see it across the board on both charts. SMCI is going to have some reason to start rallying, and that reason could be NVIDIA. As of right now, I'd say the projection is more down than up. Okay. Uh, TTD, please. All right. So, really, TTD is definitely bottoming out. Look at where the support has come in. This has been a great accumulation range for the stock. The question is, how is Meta going to report? Because TTD is going to be severely impacted by Meta. So, TTD is going to go as Meta goes. Meta pops, TTD probably looks to test at around 125.74. They're they're priming for a reversal. You can see that they held at this 115 range. So for me, this 115, 114, that's a very important threshold because below that level, they're probably going to get down to the range of 110 to 106. So right now, I would be anticipating if Meta does well that TTD is going to test this 125 and three quarters price, perhaps even as high as 130. Anything above 30 is going to be a massive breakout, but everything in TTD hinges on Meta. I guess it's kind of a cheap way, like trading Snap. If Meta reports before Snap, it's kind of taking a cheaper version of trying to trade Meta earnings. Uh, quite honestly, Crocs. I actually love this name for a recovery. The problem is they're not recovering yet. So they're range bound between 94 and 112 until they break free from this either 95 downside or powering above 115. There's nothing. It's back and forth. I mean, when stocks get like this, buy at the lows, sell at the highs. Sell the highs, buy back at the lows. Until then, just there's nothing to say. There's no projectability. It is 100% range bound. SoFi down off of earnings yesterday and coming right back up. We'll see if they could continue to try and rally or they're going to have more fallout. So, they've rebounded nicely today. They were near their pre market lows at the linear regression. They lost the 50 where they held support, but they're set to close above that threshold. If they close below that 50 SMA, and if you're wondering what that direct price is going to be, that's going to be right around 1550 ish. Your downside is going to be somewhere around 1375. I like the financials with Trump in office. This should be a bit of a recovery. We'll see. I don't know. As of right now, it really depends on where it closes. If it closes above the 50 and the markets move up, I like the recovery to the gap fill right around 17. What is that? I think 17.80ish, $18. If it closes below the 15, expect it to come down to that 13.75. As well, I was alerted XYZ, folks. That's the new ticker symbol for SQ or Block Inc. So just to make note of that, XYZ, something to keep an eye on. They were getting a little active this morning and they're starting to race back up. Okay. All right, folks. So we are now, let me pull this up here. We are now at that time of the day for the wheel. Everybody, good luck, all. Let's see who today's winner is going to be. Today's winner is. Come on, hasn't Robert won like 8 times in the last week? Robert! Robert! My man from the AI room and the Opval room, you are today's winner. Last thing, folks, in relation to the trickle down effect, I want you to look at this name right here. I was told to do another spin. Where is it? Where to go? Okay. So I was told to do another spin. We're going to do it again. Listen, I do as I told, okay? We also have, Sonia! Sonia, who I'm going to be talking to in about 10 minutes from now. Sonia! Congratulations. Ali said I'm changing my name to Robert. It was almost Robert again. It was a different Robert, though. Robert Rodriguez. So, yeah, there you go. Congratulations. Folks, I'm going to leave you with this. If you haven't heard about this, okay, I want you to just Google Javon's paradox. This is a lot association with what DeepSeek has effectively done to the AI sector. This is actually a very strong positive for AI and AI build outs for the long term. In fact, I believe the CEO of Microsoft tweeted this out the other day, and effectively they're saying that the disruption is actually going to be a efficiency measure that's going to cause the sector to grow stronger and create more revenue. That's basically the bottom line of what the Javon's paradox is, or known as the Javon's effect. Read this up. This is the Wikipedia page. Michael, I can't post it in the chat, but if you can do me a favor and post this into the chat, I would be grateful, folks. I would highly encourage you to read this over. And it brings a lot of things to light. What is going to happen in the near future? I don't know, but all I know is that it's going to be a wild ride over these next few weeks. The ramifications, trickle down effect, we haven't seen it yet. It's just starting. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, your participation as always. Really appreciate you all. The great Scott Bauer will be back. And until next time, folks, peace and love. I am out of here.